Beta, in the first question, they are asking us the capacitance of a capacitor. Capacitance of a capacitor is defined as the ratio of charge divided by potential. So option A will be the correct answer. Next, in this question, the capacitor is connected to a battery of potential 20 volts. Charge on the capacitor is 100 microcoulombs. We have to find out the capacitance of the capacitor. So, bacha look, if I draw the diagram here, I have a battery, a capacitor. 100 microcoulombs is the charge and the battery potential is 20 volts. We can write down the equation Q is equal to CV. This gives me 100 microcoulombs is equal to C into 20 volts. If you solve this beta, C will just come out as 5 microfarads. So option B will be the correct answer. Awesome. Next question beta. Here we have to figure out why does the capacity increases when another conductor is brought near the first conductor. Now, the reason for this is, my dear Bachalo, that when we have two conductors like this, one of them having positive charge and one of them having negative charge, what happens is that the potential of those bodies decreases. The potential, if you calculate at this point, the potential will decrease because of the presence of a negative charge. So because of this, my dear bachalo, we get more charge for the same potential. So answer will be option D. It the capacity increases, C is equal to Q by V. The capacity increases because the potential decreases. Next question. The condenser of capacitance 50 microfarad. A condenser of capacitance 50 microfarad is charged to 10 volts. Find the energy stored. In this question, beta, we will directly use the formula U is equal to half CV square. That will give me U is equal to half into 50 microfarads into V square. When you do this calculation, beta, it will be 25 into 10 power minus 4, which can be written as 2.5 into 10 power minus 3 joules. So option B will be the correct answer. In this question, my dear Vajralok, the potential of the capacitance is increased from 10 to 20 volts. You have to find out the increase in its energy. So first of all, we will calculate the initial energy stored on the capacitor. That will be half into C into Vi square. Initially, my dear Vajralok, the potential difference is 10 volts. This will come out as 3 into 10 power minus 4 joules. Finally, my dear bachalo, the potential energy will be half into 6 into 10 power minus 6 into 20 square because the potential difference is 20 volts. That will come out as, my dear bachalo, 12 into 10 power minus 4 joules. So what will be the increase in energy? The increase in energy will be given by the formula delta U is equal to UF minus UI. That will be 12 minus 3 into 10 power minus 4. That is 9 into 10 power minus 4. So option C will be the correct answer. In this question, my dear Bachalu, the capacitance is 4 into 10 power minus 6 farad and its potential difference is 100 volts. You have to find out the energy released on fully discharging the capacitor. Now, my dear Bachalu, the released energy will be same as the energy stored. How much energy is stored in the capacitor right now? That is equal to half CV square. That will be half into 4 into 10 power minus 6 into 100 square. That will come out as beta 2 into 10 power minus 2 joules, which is 0.02 joules. Option E will be the correct answer. In this question, my dear Bacha, the capacitor has initially charge Q and the energy stored is double. Now the charge is double to 2Q, we have to find out the new energy stored. So what will we write? We will say the initial energy stored is going to be Q square by 2C, the formula for energy stored. And the final energy stored will be equal to 2Q the whole square divided by 2C. That can be written as 4Q square by 2C. That can be written as 4 into W. So option C will be the correct answer. In this question, a spherical condenser of radius, a spherical condenser has outer sphere radius as capital R, and the difference between the inner and the outer sphere radii is x. We have to find out what is the capacitance proportional. So, in case of a spherical condenser like this, if the outer radius is r and the difference is x, that means the inner radius, let's call it r dash, will be nothing but r minus x. Now, here capacitance of a spherical capacitor is given by the formula C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught R dash upon R minus R dash. We substitute the values, my dear bachalo. It will be 4 pi epsilon naught into R minus X divided by X. So if you see, C will be proportional to R into R minus X divided by X, which is option C. In this question, my dear Bachalo, the energy of a charged capacitor resides in what? We have to tell where the energy is stored in case of a capacitor. So, my dear Bachalo, what you should understand is that in case of a capacitor, the energy is stored in the form of electric field in between the plates. The energy stored beta in this region is given by the formula half into epsilon naught into E square into volume. Here, volume is supposed to be of the region where the electric field is there. Now, you have to understand that the energy stored here is in the form of electric field. So, option C will be the correct answer. In this question, 64 small drops having the same charge and same radius are combined to form one big drop. You have to find out the ratio of capacitance of the big drop to the small drop. Now, bacha look, what you have to understand in this case is that capacitance of an isolated spherical capacitor of radius r is given by the formula 4 pi epsilon naught. Now, Bachu, when you have 64 drops, each let's say of a radius r combined to form a bigger drop, the radius will be different. Let's call the new radius r dash. Now, what I can say is, my dear Bachalo, that overall total volume total volume initially will be same as the total volume finally. Now, what will be the total initial volume? It will be 64 into 4 by 3 pi r cube. What will be the final total volume? It will be 4 by 3 pi r dash. This will give me bacho r dash cube as 64 r. If we take the cube root, my dear bacha log, r dash will just be equal to. Now let's say capacitance of each small drop was C and capacitance of the big drop is C dash. If we take the ratio C dash divided by C, it will be equal to R dash divided by R, because C dash will just be 4 pi epsilon naught R dash. So that will just give me C dash by C is equal to 4 by 1. So option C will be the correct answer. Here we have an assertion reason question. The first statement is the capacitance of a given conductor remains same even if charge is varied. This of course is a correct statement, my dear Bachchan, because even though the capacitance is given by the formula C is equal to Q by V, you have to realize that C is independent of Q and V. If I double the charge here, my dear bacha logo, the voltage will also automatically double and the capacitance will remain the same. The capacitance does not depend on the charge or the potential difference. What does it depend on, beta? So for a parallel plate capacitor, if you guys remember, the formula for capacitance is A epsilon naught by T. In general, the capacitance of a capacitor depends on the medium and the shape as well as the size of the capacitor. So the reason is also true. Here, my dear bacha log, option A will be the correct answer. Both assertion is true and the reason is true, and the reason correctly explains the assertion. In this question, we once again have an assertion reason question. The capacity of a cylindrical capacitor is independent of its. This is of course a false statement, my dear bacha logo, because the capacity of a cylindrical capacitance is given by the formula 2 pi epsilon naught L upon natural log of R 2 pi R. It is definitely dependent on the length of the cylinder. So the assertion is definitely false. So option D would be the correct answer. We don't even need to look at the reason. But even if you look at the reason says the capacity of a cylindrical capacitor depends only on the ratio of inner and outer radius. That is once again a false statement. It depends on that ratio as well as the length of the cylinder. Here, beta, the capacitance of a capacitor C is given as 10 microfarads. You have to remember that is given by the formula A epsilon naught by D. Now, the question tells us that the distance between the plates initially is 8 into 10 power minus 2 centimeters. Now, if the distance is reduced to 4 centimeters, you have to find out the new capacitance. So you will say beta that the new capacitance C dash will be given by A epsilon naught upon 4 centimeters, 4 into 10 power minus 2. Now, in order to calculate that, my dear bacha log, I will just divide the two equations. I will write down 2 divided by 1. When I divide, I will get C dash divided by 10 microfarads is equal to 8 into 10 power minus 2 upon 4 into 10 power minus 2. A epsilon naught will get cancelled. cancelled out. This will give me C dash is equal to 20 microfarads. Option C will be the correct answer. In this question, the separation between the plates of a capacitor is 5 mm, and the area of a, you have to find out the area of the plates so that the capacitance is 3 farads. Beta, we just have to use the simple formula here. C is equal to A epsilon naught divided by T. When I substitute the value, I will write down 3 is equal to A into epsilon naught is 8.85 into 10 power minus 12, and D beta is given as 5 into 10 power minus 3. That gives me, my dear bacha log, A is equal to 3 into 5 divided by 8.85 into 10 power minus 3 plus 12. That will come out beta somewhere around, if you calculate, this will be 15 divided by 8.85 into 10 raised to the power 9. But look, this calculation is a little bit difficult, but you can approximate it as somewhere around 16 point, sorry, 15.3. You can approximate it as, yeah, 15.3 divided by 9 into 10 power 9. That will come out as uh, 9 is 9 ones are 9, 1.694 into 10 raised to the power 9 meters. Okay. Let me just check the calculation. Huh? Yes, the calculation is correct, my dear Bachchan. In this case, the potentials of the two plates of the capacitors are plus 10 volts and minus 10 volts. The charge on one of the plates is 40 coulombs. What is the capacitance of a capacitor? So, my dear bachalo, here we will use the formula Q is equal to C. Remember that in this case, this V is not exactly potential, it is potential difference. It is essentially, my dear bachalo, the difference between the potential of the positive and the negative. Now, in this question, my dear bachalo, that potential difference will be 10 minus minus 10. That will just be 20 volts. So now I will substitute the values. So 40 is equal to C into 20. That gives me C is equal to 2 farads. Option A will be the correct answer. In this question, I have a capacitor which is charged at a steady rate of 500 microcoulombs per second. We have to calculate how long will it take to raise the potential difference between the two plates of the capacitor to 10 volts. Now beta, here something weird is given to us. They have given us dq by dt. That is 100 microcoulombs per second. Now, my dear bachalo, Q is given as a CV. If you differentiate this with respect to time, you will get dq by dt is equal to c dv by dt. Substituting the values beta, you will get 100 microcoulombs per second is equal to 500 microfarads into dv by dt. This I will get beta dv is equal to 1 by 5 into dt. Now I just have to integrate it to calculate the time. I will integrate beta from 0 to 10 volts on right hand side because the final potential is 10 volts. And on the left hand side, I will write down from 0 to t seconds. This gives me 1 by 5 into t minus 0 is equal to 10 minus 0, which gives me t is equal to 50 seconds. Option C will be the correct answer. In this question, beta, a battery is connected first and the energy stored in the capacitor is U. Now the battery is removed. The battery is now removed and the separation between the plates is doubled. We have to find out the energy stored in the capacitor. Beta, understand that when you remove the battery and then do something with the capacitor, the charge on the capacitor remains the same. Charge on the capacitor remains the same because the battery is removed, the charge cannot change. Now, in this case, my dear bacha log, I can say that initially, initially, the energy stored in the capacitor will be q square by 2c. That will just be q square by 2 into a epsilon naught divided by d. Now finally, my dear bacha log, the charge remains the same, the area remains the same, epsilon naught also remains the same, only the distance is doubled. So the new energy stored will be q square by 2a epsilon naught 2d. Now clearly beta we can see that the new energy will just be twice the original energy. So option C will be the correct answer. Beta, in this question, you have to find out the energy stored in the capacitor in terms of electric field. What you have to remember, my dear bachalo, is that energy stored in a capacitor is half into epsilon naught into E square multiplied by the volume of the capacitor. That will be nothing but half into epsilon naught into E square multiplied by AD, because in between the capacitor plates the space volume of the space in between the two capacitor plates, this area, this volume will be equal to A into D, where A is the area of the plate and D is the distance between the two. So option D will be the correct answer, my dear Bacha. Look in this question. We have to calculate the work done by external agent in separating the parallel plate capacitor. Beta, in this case, what you should understand is that the work done by the external agent will be nothing but the final energy stored in the capacitor minus the initial energy stored in the capacitor. And that would be nothing but half CV square minus 0. So answer will be either option B or option C. Both the options are same. Oh, sorry, both the options are not same. My mistake. Answer will be option C. In this question, there are two protons between the plates of a capacitor. Now, we have to talk about the forces on the two protons. Now, Bachcha look, please remember that force on a proton is going to be given by the formula Q into E. Now, force on the first proton will be equal to Q into EA, and force on the second proton will be equal to Q into E. Now, since we have a parallel plate capacitor, what I can say is that electric field at A will be same as electric field at B. Both of them will be beta sigma by epsilon, where sigma is the charge density of one plate. So, since both the electric fields are same, I can say that the force on both the protons will also be same. Option C will be the correct answer. In this question, my dear bacha, the force between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor of capacitance C, uh, yes, we have to calculate, my dear bacha, the force between the two plates of a capacitor. So, my dear bacha, understand this. Imagine I have two plates of a capacitor. For a minute, imagine plus charge here and minus 2 charge here. Now, if you forget about this plate for a minute, my dear coach, just forget about it, okay? If you forget about this plate for a minute, what you will realize is that due to the first plate, there will be an electric field here. There will be an electric field here in this direction. And that electric field is given by the formula sigma by 2 epsilon naught or Q by 2A epsilon. This is the electric field produced by the positive charge. Now, if you think about, if you bring back the negative charge once again, my dear Bacha, bring it back. Then in that case, my dear Bacha, bring back the negative charge. Bring it back, beta. Then that negative charge will now feel a force in this direction. The force on that negative charge will just be equal to Q into, which will become Q square by 2A epsilon. Now, my dear bachalo, that can be written as half into. Now, if you see this, this Q square can be written as C square V square. And A epsilon naught. If you remember, A epsilon naught by D is equal to C. So A epsilon naught can be written as CD. This will just become, my dear log, half into CV square by D. So option A would be the correct answer. In the next question, my dear Bachalo, a parallel plate capacitor has an electric field 10 raised to the power 5 volt per meter between the plates. If the charge on the capacitor plate is 1 microcoulomb, what is the force on each capacitor? Now, my dear Bachalo, in this case, we will just use the formula that we derived in the previous question. The force um, the force on any plate beta is given by the formula. Now what? Let me derive the formula for force. I have a plate here and another plate here. Plus Q charge minus Q charge. Now the electric field, my dear Bachalo, is given by 10 raised to the power 5 volt per meter. So electric field in between, my dear Bachalo, the net electric field in between is going to be 10 raised to the power 5. What you have to understand is beta that if we look at one plate and we consider only that plate as a test charge, then on that plate, my dear bachcho, forget about it for just a minute. On that plate, the electric field will only be there due to the positive charge. And that electric field, my dear bachalo, will be half of E, because the electric field in between the two plates is due to both of the plates. Electric field on the negative plate will only be there due to the positive. Now, the force on this negative plate, my dear Bacho, if you just get it back. The force on this negative plate, my dear bacha log, will be given by the formula F is equal to Q into E dash. That will be 1 into 10 power minus 6 into half into 10 power 5. That will be, my dear bacha log, 0.5 into 10 power minus 1, 0.05 Newton. Option B will be the correct answer. In this question, my dear Bachalo, a force is acting on a test charge between the parallel plate. The force acting on a test charge between a parallel plate capacitor is F. If one of the plates is removed, then the force on the same test charge will be what? Bachalo, understand that when you have two plates like this, both of them produce an electric field in this direction. Sigma by 2 epsilon naught and sigma by 2 epsilon, and the force on the charge will be equal to Q into net electric field, that will be Q into 2 sigma by 2 epsilon. Now if one plate is removed, my dear bacha log, then only one electric field remains. And the new force, my dear bacha log, will be given by the formula Q into sigma by 2 epsilon. As we can clearly see, this will be half of the original force. So option C will be the correct answer. Here we have a parallel plate capacitor of area A and charge Q. We have to calculate the force on each. My dear bacha log, imagine the first plate has charge Q and the second plate has charge minus Q. Now, if for a minute we forget about this negatively charged plate, consider it a test charge and forget about it for a minute. Then, just due to the positive charge, there will be an electric field here. That electric field will be given by the formula sigma by 2 epsilon naught or Q by 2a epsilon. Now, if we put a negatively charged plate here in this electric field, if we put a negatively charged plate, then that negatively charged plate, my dear virtual, is going to experience a force. That force is going to be given by Q E. That will be Q squared by 2a epsilon, which will be option C. In this question, my dear Bachalu, the plates of a parallel plate capacitor are not exactly parallel, and the surface charge density will be what? Now, my dear Bachalo, if the plates of a parallel plate capacitor are not exactly parallel, then what you should understand is that the surface charge density will now be different at different points. At the points where the plates are close to each other, the surface charge density will be very, very high. And at other points the surface charge density will be slightly low. So surface charge density will be not uniform. But my dear Bachalo, since they are part of the same conductor, this point A will still have the same potential as this point B, and this point C. So potential at A will be same as potential at B, will be same as potential at C. Each plate will still have the same potential at every point. So option C is also correct. In this case, option D would be the correct answer. Both B and C are correct. Option A is wrong, beta, because if the plates are shaped like this, then in that case, beta, the charge will be highest in the middle and it will have a very small value at the